Right, welcome everyone. There we go. Welcome everyone to week 3 of the IELTS Open Learning and Initiative Intensive Exam Preparation. Today is our 3rd week, and we are going to be looking at structural grammar and starting a 2-part look at writing task 2. All right, so far we have had the exam overview. We've worked on the reading exam, so we know what to look for there. So in week 1, we looked at reading and understanding those questions. Last week, we looked at the listening exam and how those questions guide us to what we're listening for. And then we looked at writing task 1, how to plan it and what is the structure of the writing task. Hopefully you have practiced that while we've been away. So I gave you several resources. If you've had any difficulty utilizing any of the resources that I've given you, please do let me know. It's super important. So today is an exciting week for me. Structural grammar. This is my way of showing you how to use the language you have to get the highest score you can on the IELTS exam. All right. And hopefully this will make a lot of sense and it'll be something that you can practice. Then we're going to look at writing task 2 and what's the most important thing on the exam. What do you need to focus on in every part of this exam? Go on, tell me what it is. Somebody type it in the chat or give a shout out. I don't mind, either one. What is the most important thing on this exam? What do you need to spend the most time looking at, understanding? Giving you a clue. It's all about, come on guys, it's all about the questions. There you go. All right, well, let's keep going. We've got exciting things to do today. So for our first session, we're going to be looking at structural grammar, how to build better sentences. And then we're going to look at news in levels, because not only can you build your vocabulary here, but you can see exactly how they do exactly what we will have done in building these sentences. Then we'll have a 5-minute break, time to talk, and we will follow this with the beginning of writing task 2. What do these questions look like? How do we need to read them? How do we read them so that we can understand them and get the best answer possible? But let's begin with grammar. Okay, so English grammar, because we are not an inflected language, because we don't have genders or cases for our words, everything is done with connectors and proximity. Yeah, that's true, Mohammed. But in each of those 4 skills, I agree. The most important thing about the IELTS is the 4 skills. The way that you work, the technique that you need to get through the exam is reading and understanding the questions. It's always question focused. So here we go. Let's look at the structure of English grammar. So without cases, without without inflections, without gendered nouns, how do we understand what we're talking about? Well, it's a lot like a Lego set. All right. Now, if you look at this, this is how English works. All right. Somewhere in that big pile of words, there is going to be a verb. And on one side of the verb is going to be the subject. On the other side of the verb is going to be the object. Okay. So, and that can be she threw the ball. Okay, so Mary threw the ball, right? Mary is the subject, threw is the verb, and ball is the object. All right, so we've got the basic form of English. And that structure supports all of the other information in a sentence. So in every single sentence, no matter how long, no matter how complex, fundamentally, there's going to be an active verb with an attached subject and object. All the other information goes past that. So it all starts with that core sentence. All right, it answers the three main questions. What are those main questions? Who did what? Okay, that's the three questions. That's our subject, verb, and object. Who did what? Right? Clauses, adjectives, adverbial, adjectival, and adverbial phrases. Those answer all the other questions. But every sentence must have, you have to be able to find the who did what. Otherwise, it's not a sentence. Okay, so all of the other clauses, a defining clause describes the who, defines the what. Okay, a conditional clause tells how the verb happened, right? An adverbial clause also tells how the verb happened. Conjunctions tie those pieces together. So how do we do that? What does this look like in a real sentence? Well, here we go. Here's your chance to write one. Okay, so Ali, our hero, went to the shop. How about, but when did he go? Which alley are we talking about? There's quite several. Or maybe what shop is? Which shop was it? How how did the going happen? How did he go to the shop? Where was that shop? Where was Ali? Why did he go there? So, can you, here's your first challenge, can you put all this together and write a sentence answering as many of these questions as you can? Okay, so we've got all of these things we can say, right? Can you fill in the blanks, right? So let me know if you can't use the chat, if you can't type in the chat, if there's any problem with that. So here's your first challenge. When did Ali go to the shop? Which Ali are we talking about? Which shop are we talking about? Where is that shop? How did he get there? Why did he go? So try and build this sentence. See if you can do that. Try and build this sentence. So yes, we could put yesterday in first. Tell me a bit more about Ali. How did he go? There we go. Excellent. You like because he was out of milk. Very good. Where does that go in the sentence? See if you can figure out where it goes in the sentence. So we could start with, this is true. You could put it there. That's an interesting way of starting it. Good. Oh, geez, can I type today? Because it's an interesting start. Okay, can you find something that tells me something more about Ali? This will make a defining clause. What about, all right. Does anyone have any ideas? You can unmute yourselves and talk if you want. There's no reason why we can't do this verbally. Go on, join in.
I like to put at the number second at 10 o'clock.
Okay. Right. And cool. Okay. How did he go? Find something. What's going to
By
just
bus.
by bus? Okay. By bus. Excellent.
Across town.
Across town. Excellent. Good job. Well done. That's it. So you've done it. Okay. We've got the why, and we put a comma there after that. Because he was out of milk, Ali, at 10 o'clock, went by bus to the shop across town. Bravo! Now, there are other ways to do this. You see how we just took the bricks and put them in place. All right. We still have, what do we still have? We still have Ali went to the shop, right? That's the key. We've still got Ali went to the shop. We've still got our main sentence. All right. And there's a lot of ways that we can do this. All right. Here's another example that I did with another class yesterday. Ali, who is my neighbor, went to the shop around the corner on his bike because he was out of milk. So there are different places you can shift these around. They need to be little. Do you notice that they're little pockets of information? They're clauses. All right. And let me just skip over one. So this is one way of looking at it. Okay, we've got the who did what, and now we've got the when, the which, the how, the where, the why. All of those other questions are answered by the clauses that we put in. So another way of viewing this is to take individual, and sometimes it's easier. I'll be honest, I'm doing this in German right now to help build my German understanding, is if we take simple sentences that so that each piece of information is in its own sentence, and then we can put them together. So let's look at that. So here we go. Anna went to her office. right? So let's find all the verbs. All the verbs. I always like green for the verb because it's bright and it's important. The one thing you can't do without is the verb. It's possible to make a sentence without a subject or object. You can have a sentence that is just a verb. Anybody got an idea? If I said stop, it means you stop whatever it is you're doing. So the subject is you, but it's silent. I used that a lot when my child was very small and would run towards the street. Stop. So the verb is always the most important. Look for the verb first. So in this first sentence, Anna went to her office. Where is the verb?
Went.
Yep, there you go. Okay.
Met.
Yep.
She is, yes.
Yep. Let's
She
just go find all of the verbs.
she met.
Yes, met with the Prime Minister. Exactly. And her office is interrupted. So these are all simple sentences, right? How about if we start with Anna going to her office? Okay, because what does that next sentence tell us? The next sentence tells us a bit more about Anna. She's my neighbor, right? Okay. Now we learn a bit more about her office in the third sentence. I'm sorry. Yeah. And in the fourth, we find out why. Okay. So let's try combining the first two. Okay. So now we've got our verb. Oops, that's not the color for a verb. That's a color for an object. There we go. We've got our verb. We've got our subject. We've got Anna, right? And we know that she went to her office. Excellent. So what is the clause that we've put in? We've taken this sentence and turned it into a clause. Our clauses are going to be pink. Okay, so now that word is not doing the heavy lifting. Okay, it was the verb in this sentence, but now it's not. It's not active. It's just part of this clause. So we've taken that sentence and made it into a pocket, a clause that we can put in place. Okay, so there's a clause. And we still got Anna. Need to, there we go. And we still have went, right? Oops, not that. I hit the wrong thing. There we go. And we have the to her office. So we've turned that into a clause. All right. Well, what are we going to do with this information? Can we put this information into this sentence? What do you think?
We can put she met with the Prime Minister Her office is in London.
Okay. We will get to the Prime Minister, but we're going to focus on this
Uh,
one first.
uh,
Okay.
which-
So how do we do that? How do we say that her office is in London? There's a couple of ways. There's a simple way.
which
You could say which is in London, or we
yes,
can
which
say just in London. This, am I going too fast? I'm sorry. Tell you what, let's stay up on this one and we'll just keep building it so I don't have to add. But I do want to show you that this is how the pieces fit together. Because so we can say which is in London, but that's the wordiest way to do it. I'll put a comma in and we're going to, there we go, turn this into a clause. Okay, because it, whoop, that is really the wrong color, isn't it? Or is it? Yeah, it is. Sorry. So we're going to turn that into a clause. There we go. All right. Notice, once again, we don't have, it's no longer green. So, but we also don't even need the which is. We could just say her office in London. All right. So that which is not necessary. If we use the which is, we're making a defining clause, but it's not needed. Okay. So Anna, who is my neighbor, went to her office, which is in London. And we've got a full sentence. All right. So now let's add the last piece of information. This time I am going to, and what are we going to say? Text. Okay. So Anna, who is my neighbor, went to her office in London. So now we've got a why, right?
yes,
Okay. So how can we add that in? Can you figure that out? You can use a full infinitive to create this. So we've got the
omit,
word,
omit.
yeah. So what did she do? Why did she go there? She went,
She went
With the Prime Minister.
yeah, to meet. Or she could just say, and met
And met
the
the Prime Minister.
Prime Minister. Yeah, and met with the Prime Minister. So once again, we've got, and I'm going to turn all the clauses gray. There we go. Clauses are gray. There we go. There we are. And we're going to make that conjunction, because that's a conjunction there, that adds information in. Conjunctions are red. Okay, so we've taken all of these sentences and combined them. And I hope you can see now that structurally what we've got is our subject, we've got our verb, we've got our, oops, that was the wrong color. Again, crazy, sorry. Oop, there we go, green. And our object. And then we've got a phrase. In London is a short phrase. We've got a conjunction. And then we've got a second verb. And this works out because when you've got a conjunction, you need another active verb on the other side of it. Okay. And a second object. Conjunctions, add, and, but, and, or, those connect different sentences. So we could say Anna met with the Prime Minister, or Anna went to her office. Anna, who is my neighbor, went to her office in London and met with the Prime Minister. Okay. Now, it's the connectors that tie it all together. All right. Things like we used because he was out of milk at the beginning to give a reason. Sorry, skipping around. So, connectors are words that add structure to all that you do. Okay. Causes, effects, opinions, and conclusions. All of these ordering, adding information, creating examples. This is signposting language. I've got lots of examples of those. So, why is this all important? Let's take a quick look at the marking scheme for the exam. This is the band one. This is the task one, band descriptors. And one of the things I wanted you to see, and I'm going to figure out, make this bigger. Here we go. Yes, I can increase the size this way too. All right. So before I talked about task achievement and coherence and cohesion, because that is when you are reading the question, getting the ideas, understanding it, and developing what you are going to write. Okay. But for a moment, let's look at lexical resource, otherwise known as vocabulary, and grammatical range. Now, the reason working on sentences like these is important is because if we look at band 7, which is where we're all ultimately headed, let's look at what this says. Okay, we've got a variety, and I think I'll zoom in on this even further. Yeah. So here we are. Oh, that's lexical resource. I need to slide this over. There we go. Grammatical range as well. So I'm going to be able to move that. So uses a variety of complex structures, is used with some flexibility and accuracy. A few errors in grammar may persist, but they do not impede communication. All right. This is where we're aiming. This is the sweet spot. This is number 7. This is band 7, a variety. So this, looking at it structurally, practicing some of these exercises will give you the ability to create complex and compound sentences with your existing vocabulary, right? The lexical resource is sufficient to allow some flexibility and precision. All right, so you've got enough words. What's most important? Look at that, precision. Most important is how you use the words you know. All right, so even if you feel that your vocabulary is smaller, it's most important to be super comfortable with the words you're using, because the precision with which you use them is very important. So, only a few errors in spelling and word formation that don't detract from communication. Have you noticed in both of these, they're talking about your ability to communicate, right? That's the most important thing. So even if you make a mistake, you can still score very well, so long as they can still understand what you are saying. All right. They're not going through and marking off every single error. They will if you make the same error multiple times. That's the only time that it will actually reduce your score. So hopefully that shows you that this ability to take simple sentences and put them together into complex and compound sentences. Notice we didn't change the vocabulary going from one of those sentences to the next, right? Going from these simple sentences over here to this compound and complex sentence here. We haven't changed the vocabulary. We didn't need to. But this sentence, oops, bouncy mouse, sorry about that. But this sentence is going to, both in the speaking and in the writing, give you a higher mark. Exact same vocabulary, right? You could use all of these sentences to say the same thing. This sentence will give you a higher mark. All right. No fancy vocabulary, you just raised your level. All right. So it's all very well and good to practice these, and I hope you will practice these. I've got another example here for you to use, okay? So think about all of these things. So we've got, I went to the city. Okay, so I, and colors that one, to the city. All right. Now maybe write some sentences and put those together. You can write a sentence for, where is that city? Right. But I will give you that to work on later. What we're going to do now, okay, so you've got another exercise in this, the PDF that you will be able to do. But another thing that you can do is use news in levels, right? So in news in levels, this is how we can use it. When you go to an article, Read the first level. Find the active verb in each sentence. Find who did what. Find the how, when, where, and why. Okay. So if we do that in a News and Levels article, let's see what we've got. Okay. So this is level 1. And what do you notice about level 1? This is an excellent practice because this is our simple sentences. All right, and we can all describe things in simple sentences. Takes effort. Believe me, I'm having to do this in German too. So, can you help me find the verbs? If you've got the ability to use the annotate, go right ahead. Let's find all the verbs.
First. He goes is. First one is is. He goes. He climbs.
Yep, he
There are
goes.
multiple eases.
Climb.
Yep, lots of ises. It's the simplest form,
False.
right? This is way too many ises.
False.
Yes, he falls.
Doesn't do. Verb do.
Exactly.
He can't move. Stops. Yes.
Mhm.
He
He
can't move.
can't
Yes.
move.
Broken.
Yep, are broken. There we
Yeah.
go.
He
Not the
does.
to be.
Does. Yeah.
Does not
Okay.
what. Yep.
He climbs again.
Yeah, we've got climb again.
Find.
Yep. So there we go. You have found all of the verbs. Congratulations. Uh, right. It's repetitive, but the sentences are simple. We understand. So if you were going to take the first 3 sentences, how would you put just the first 3 sentences? The story is about a man. He is from the USA. He is a university professor. That's a lot of sentences for a little information. Can you put that into one sentence? The easiest thing to do is just take out. Let me. I'll undo that. I'll just switch this to red. So we'll take out he is. The story is about a man from the USA. And we don't need to say, we could even change this, get rid of about a man, and, oops, wait a minute, not about. We could say about a university professor from the USA, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So let's, right? Does that make sense? So you see how these simple sentences can actually be brought together into a larger sentence with more information in it.
Yes.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
Yeah, the short this story is about a university professor from USA.
Yeah.
Is that
Exactly. So let's see instead how news and levels made it a little more complicated. So we're going to take all these, so we start with all these short sentences. Now let's see how this gets more complex. All right. Now we've got the past tense as well, much more rational, right?
Mhm.
And now we're using American. So instead of from the USA, we've got just American university professor.
That's cool.
Okay. So in this first sentence, what have we got? What is the main verb?
Was climbing.
Yeah. So our main verb is he was climbing. And
Yeah,
what
and
happened?
also he falls down.
Yeah.
feel
He fell.
down
He fell down.
Fell down. Yeah.
And the ice was.
and was ice was
Yes.
Man. Also, man got trapped.
got trapped? Yeah,
Got trapped.
The man thought that was thought.
he was
Yes.
going. Thought
Mm-hmm. But that's
was
the
going.
object.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That's not the active verb there.
He were broken.
Yes, we're broken. Awesome. Now, what is that word next? That is a conjunction
Conjunction.
linking
Yeah,
Yeah.
linking two sentences. So,
But he didn't give up.
yeah,
And he moved out.
and yeah, we've got another
Couldn't-
yeah. Another
Yeah.
conjunction.
another conjunction. Excellent.
It took.
Took him.
He reached.
Yeah,
He came. Help
Yeah.
came.
excellent. Great job. Great job. Excellent. So you're starting to see the structure as it works. Okay. Um, this intensive way of reading the news and levels replicates how we learn grammar as children. We start with simple sentences. I want a cookie. Dinner isn't for an hour. Can I please have a cookie? We build complexity over time and experience to see how simple sentences can be conjoined into more complex ones as the grammar and everything else builds is really worthwhile because these are the level. This is great. See, this has got more complex sentences. All right, and that is going to raise your score. Okay, so let's look at where we're going in the long run. There we go. So now we're back to where we were with Anna. We've got a defining clause about John, this professor, right? When we've got a clause that begins with who is. And that's talking about whatever the subject is. John, who is an associate geography professor at Western Kentucky University. And what was he doing?
Was climbing.
Yeah.
Okay. You are looking for verb again.
Fell into.
Yep. And fell into.
He found his
Felt. Yeah.
Into a crevasse. Oh, wow. We find out even more. Look at what he did. He filmed the struggle.
Sighing.
Mm-hmm.
Sighing.
Saying, yes. Well,
That
saying, oh, but is that an active verb?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What is the actual action?
Thought
Yes, he thought. He thought
he was
that he was going
going to.
after breaking his arm and 5 ribs. But
But
He
there we go.
managed.
One wonderful conjunction there.
Yeah.
But,
After that verb managed.
yep, he managed to crawl.
It took him. Took also verb to take.
Yeah, there
How use
Wow.
using
using
no
only. And another
the
conjunction.
periods
He reaches tent.
just spent.
He spent the night before
Yeah.
rescuers reached him the next day. Wow. Okay. So we've got beautiful clauses here. So if we look at some of the clauses, let me see. We'll go to that pale gray. Oops, I turn this off. So before rescuers reached him the next day. It's a wonderful clause. This whole thing is a clause.
Yes.
Right? Breaking his arm and 5 ribs is another clause. So he managed to crawl out of the gap. So managed to crawl is actually the full verb there. As part of a research project is another clause that talks about why he was climbing a mountain. So if we break out all of these that are just, he filmed his struggle inside the 22-meter hole while saying that he thought he was going to die. Okay, while. When did he do it? When did he film it? While saying. All right. But he managed to crawl out of the gap. It took him 6 hours using a. Oh, never mind. That's just not going to let me do it. Let's see. All right. And another 3 to reach his tent. So, right. So this is a way that you can utilize News and Levels to build your awareness of this structure. Okay, so once you've done that, go back to the first one. Think about it. How can you put all of these sentences together? Maybe add some more vocabulary. Yes, they do increase the vocabulary in these, but take this opportunity with level one, um, with the level one uh, articles, and um, and see if you can make compound and complex sentences out of the information that's there. Okay. There. Any questions about this process or method? So the key to doing this is, can you find the core subject, verb, and object of your sentences? So when you write something, I want you to look at your sentence and say, can I find the core sentence? Do I know where my subject, verb, and object are? What is this whole sentence hanging on? Quick check. Do the subject and verb agree? If it's a singular subject, it needs to be a singular form of the verb. And how have you added the additional information? Or how could you add some additional information to that sentence? If you can. One of the challenges in when your vocabulary gets to this level, to the point where you can start to speak freely, to have the words to say, to speak as you used to in your first language. The it's a danger that your first language grammar will try and come and help you, and it won't help. It will make word salad, I promise. But everyone gets to this point. It's a really exciting place to be in your language development when you're polishing and finishing, and suddenly you can express yourself. So going back to basics, going back to looking at the actual structure, all right, the actual structure that we use when we create a sentence, right? We've got to have that supporting base. That's every English sentence has that supporting base, and all of the other clauses are built on top of it. They come in around the edges. Hopefully you've had a chance to see how that works. Right. Any questions at all about this? So it's a way to practice it. Okay. So at the beginning of class, so here we are, we've reached our 5-minute break. So here we are. We've got the writing task 2 to talk about after a quick break. I also want to reiterate the WhatsApp group, and I will put another link to the WhatsApp group on the, let me see if I've got it up. Yep, I do. So here's too many things. Oh, it's not going to, sorry. I'm going to pause the share for a second while I sort things out. Sorry about that. There we go. Where did the subgroup go? Awesome. All right. You don't need to see all of my other WhatsApp groups. So here. There we go. Sorry, I did click the wrong thing. Right. So, the thing is in the way. All right. So I'm going to resume the share. There we go. That's better. Now, so I'm going to copy the link again and put that in the chat again so that everyone has it. So please do feel free to join us. And okay, and I'll be putting in recommendations for activities, and hopefully we can have some discussions about some of the articles and things like that that we're reading to build our English. Right. Other than that, so now I am going to there we go. There we go. And I will pause the recording to there we go. Well, welcome back. I hope you've got a cup of tea or something that to keep you company for the second half. Right. So, what do you think? Do you think using this technique you will be able to make more has it changed how you think about English sentences? Do you think you will be able to write more complex sentences? A little bit?
Just
I hope so. If you want to write something and check your sentences, WhatsApp group is a great place to do it. So, because we're all working on the same thing, no matter what our vocabulary level. Right. So that structural grammar is going to give you the best possible outcome for your current vocabulary level. Of course, we still have all of our great ways of building vocabulary using all of our wonderful resources as well. So let's look at task 2. Here we go. Right, we're in the writing exam. We've made it through. This is a great place to be. So we walked into the exam. We had the listening. It was hard, but we read the questions and we got through. We got the reading exam. We read the questions. We thought about those questions. We quickly found the information that we needed in the documents. Well done. Right. So we're in the writing exam. We're almost through this race. We're almost there. We've just written 120 words describing a piece of data. Did anybody practice a graph over the last week? I may have to just send you some in WhatsApp and challenge you to do them. Okay. So we need to practice this. Everything you practice, I want my students to go into the exam, to open that paper or turn on that monitor and look at the questions and go, yeah, it's okay. I know how to answer this. Okay. So we've made it through. We've described our data, and now we're at the essay. Dum, dum, dum. Yes. Most people think the first thing they need to do is put their pen down on the paper and start writing. What do you think?
first you need to prepare yourself and choose the topic that you want to write about.
Yes.
Make a plan.
Yes. Yes, Mustafa, thank you. Yes, you need to make a plan. It is the only way to look at that, one half of your marks on this exam. All right. One half of the marks is vocabulary and grammar. Well, we just spent an hour working on making that vocabulary and grammar as strong as it could possibly be, using that vocabulary to our best advantage by making those compound and complex sentences. Right. So what about the other half of the marks? That's the challenge. All right. That's what we're going to focus on now, the other half of the marks. That was half. This is the other half. And it's the task response and the coherence and cohesion. It needs to address all parts of the question. This is my favorite part that I think is the most important. Presents a clear position throughout the response and presents and extends main ideas. You can only do this if you know what you're going to be writing. So you have to plan your writing. All right. Once again, we're hanging out at band 7 because that's where most of us need to be. All right. Logically organizes information and ideas. There is a clear progression throughout. Right? Uses a range of cohesive devices. All those connectors in the first half of the class. Yep, you need to use this PDF and look at those charts and think about how to use those properly. And presents a clear central topic within each paragraph. Okay, so if you don't have a plan, you will get mush. You will have sentences in the first paragraph that belong in the second one, and vice versa. Worst of all, if you don't have a plan, the likelihood is you will repeat sentences. And that is the one way you can actually lower your score in this exam, which is a terrible thing. It's really hard to lower your score. Their job is to read your essay and see how high you have achieved. Okay, so that's their job. So make it easy for them. Do your planning. Okay, plan what you're going to write. So what's the structure? Okay, the strategy for doing this, analyze the question. That's our first our first object. Then brainstorm ideas. Get those ideas, pin them down, put them on the paper. Put them down on paper, because if you try and hold them in your brain, if you try and hold the ideas, okay, I know, okay, this is the structure I'm going to use. These are the things I'm going to say in paragraph 1. These are the things I'm going to say in paragraph 2. Right, blah, okay, I've got it all in my head, right? And then I start writing and I go, oh, no, that's not the word I was looking for. And you start thinking about that word that you wanted to use and you can't think of it. And now all of that stuff that you thought you'd thought out, it's gone because you're sitting there thinking about vocabulary and grammar. So we want to make it possible to sit there and think about vocabulary and grammar because that's important. It's half the mark. But you can only think about it if you know what you're going to write. And here is the structure. You're going to write an introduction, otherwise known as tell us what you're going to tell us. And make sure you put your opinion there, because what did it say? Presents a clear opinion and supports it throughout. Well, you can only do that if you put the opinion in the introduction. Okay, some people like to save the opinion for the conclusion, like some kind of surprise at the end of the story. But if you run out of time before you get to the conclusion, you have lost all of it because you didn't present an opinion and support it throughout. If you put the opinion in the introduction, in that first paragraph, that you can describe in one sentence why the main paragraph supports your opinion and why the second body supports your opinion. You can put those in. All right. If you save it for the conclusion and you run out of time, you have lost. You will not get a band 7 because you won't have done that fundamental thing, which is to support it throughout. All right. So The two-body paragraphs are all we've got to plan. That's all we've got to do. We need to think up enough ideas to fill out 2 paragraphs. A main idea with examples and a second main idea with examples. And then the conclusion is simply a summary. By the time you reach the conclusion, I want your reader to be sitting there saying, oh, yes, I see exactly why you think that way. Very well stated. I agree with you. Okay. So, and then you'll have 5 minutes. If you write it my way, you'll have 5 minutes to check for errors at the end. All right. So let's look at how we do this. So, like I said, introduction, tell us what you're going to tell us, state your position. Got to put that up. And you can tell them what 2 topic sentences are going to be about in the main body paragraphs. Okay. Each paragraph contains a topic sentence and should have at least 2 main ideas with supporting details, and then a sentence that links it back to your stated opinion. All right, so 2 main paragraphs that should look like this. All right, an idea and supporting details. The best way to extend and expand your grammar is to use examples. If you give an example, you won't even have to think about using compound and complex language because it will the simple act of supplying an example will demand the level of language that you need. Sorry about leaving in the waiting room and have the prompt up. There you go. All right. So there we go. This is what we're going to write. Let's get into it. All right. So we've got a question. Here's a very typical sort of Task 2 question. So some of it is going to be background information. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I skip one? Yeah, I did. Okay. Look for, so when we're analyzing the question, what is background information? What's the main topic? What are statements of fact that they say? That's background information. And what is the actual question that is being asked? And it's really important to be able to find that and rephrase that. Okay. So let's look. What is background information and what is the question? So, the rising cost and decreasing supply of fossil fuels, such as oil and gas, along with environmental concerns, means that their continued use as a main source of energy is impractical and alternative sources must be found. The only realistic alternative is nuclear energy. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So, what is the question we are actually answering? What is the background information? Can you find something up here that is a statement of fact?
Oh, we're looking for energy,
Mm-hmm. So
and we're looking
this,
for an alternative because the main source for energy now is gas and oil.
right. So we've got oil and gas.
And the alternative is nuclear.
Yep. And there is one word that is the most important in all of this background information? There's one word that is particularly important. What do they say about nuclear energy?
Nuclear powered plant procedure a large amount.
Yeah, there's a value judgment in this statement, a value judgment about nuclear energy. Can you find that word? Only realistic alternative is nuclear energy.
It's realistic.
Yes, it's realistic. Why is that word important? It's a value judgment. This is what you're agreeing or disagreeing with. Okay, so it says, to what extent do you agree or disagree? Well, what are I agreeing or disagreeing to? The only realistic alternative. Okay, yes, alternative is really important. Okay, and now, is it a question as to whether the continued use of oil and gas is impractical? It's stated as fact, isn't it? That's background information. Okay, so what we are really answering here is this last part. Do you agree or disagree that nuclear energy is the only practical solution or alternative? The word alternative to fossil fuels. All right. So can you see how all of this stuff, all of the information about rising cost and decreasing supply, right? We've got that. That's information. It's background information. We'll be talking about that in the essay. We can use that in the essay. But the actual question that they're asking is, to what extent do you agree or disagree that the only realistic, okay? So in every one of these questions that you read, there will always be some kind of value judgment. All right.
In this case, we should be agree because realistic alternative is nuclear energy.
Uh-huh. That's whether we, yep, that's what we're agreeing or disagreeing with. All right. Because the statement is this is background information. This is why. This is basically the person saying why they think this way, but what they think is this part. Right.
Yeah.
That's the part that is the actual statement of opinion that we have to agree or disagree with. So on every essay question will have a value judgment word like that. Some people think it is best that children learn good eating habits at home, while others think that the best place for children to learn this information is in school. Do you agree or discuss both sides and give your opinion? The most important word in that sentence is the word best. It's that value judgment, because that's what gives you the the subject, the thing you are agreeing or disagreeing with. So when you give your opinion, that's what you're looking for. Okay. So if we go on, so as we see, we've got lots of good information. It's very important information, and we will use those. But, the fact that it is the only realistic, it's not only just realistic, it's the only realistic alternative. That's a very bold statement, isn't it? Once you really look at it. So now we know what we're thinking about. All right. So now that we know what the question is, let's see if you can stay focused. Tell me, whether these questions are true, whether any of these statements are true or false. Okay, here's a list of statements on the topic. Does this question ask whether or not fossil fuels are impractical? Is that a question? Right. Do we need to look at the question again? I'm going to give you this page in the chat so that you've got it. Okay. Yes. Okay. So good. So our first, so is that a true statement or a false statement? The question asks whether or not fossil fuels are impractical. One vote for no. Do we all agree?
Oh,
That one is false. It does not ask about whether or not fossil fuels are impractical or not. It states that they are impractical. Should we
true?
give, right?
True.
Should we give a detailed description of how fossil fuels can cause global warming? Would that answer the question?
Should give detailed description.
We give a detailed description of how fossil fuels cause global warming? Yes or no? Did that
True.
answer the question? We should, you think? No. Good job of you. You've got it. No, we're not discussing global warming. That's not what the question is. Right? So that is also false. All right. The question asks whether nuclear energy is a good alternative to fossil fuels. What do you think? Number 3.
Yes. True.
Exactly. Now we found our topic. That's true. Okay. You should discuss the arguments for and against nuclear energy. What do you think?
Yes.
Did we do that?
Number 4.
Number 4.
Yes, true.
Yes. Excellent. Number 5, what do you think? Should we discuss arguments for and against fossil fuels?
Yes, true.
Shall we? Let's read that question. Did we? Is it a question of whether, is there a question as to whether or not fossil fuels
No,
are
no,
good or bad?
no, 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 no.
Yes, exactly. There we go. No, we are not discussing fossil fuels. That is background information. It's stated as fact. We have to discuss the answer, our opinion, in light of that fact. Okay. How about number 6? Should we mention other alternative energy resources?
Yes.
Because they says that only this is the trick of this question, because it says the only realistic alternative is
Yes.
nuclear. That's I'm thinking it's false, because we have to not discuss about any other alternative. And here
Well,
clearly says the only realistic alternative is nuclear energy.
okay. The reason, what is it the only realistic alternative, in your opinion?
Alternative nuclear energy.
I mean, seriously, what do you think? If we're going to replace oil and gas, is nuclear energy the only realistic alternative?
This is
No,
what I'm thinking. Yes, this is the only.
You think so? You agree?
no.
Do you agree that that is the only realistic
Yes.
alternative?
Yes, I agree.
If you do agree, that's great. That's now you're ready to write because you know that you agree with it. Now you just have to describe the extent to which you agree or disagree with it. Okay. No, because actually we do need to talk about other energy resources. Okay, because otherwise, how can we say that nuclear energy is the only realistic one? Do you see what I mean?
So you mean we should mention the other one as well, not only
Exactly.
nuclear?
How else are we going to prove that nuclear is, how are we going to support the opinion that nuclear is the only realistic one if we don't describe other alternatives and why
Yeah.
they are not realistic?
Oh yes, this is the point. Yeah, now I got it.
Yay, good.
For description, for description and benefit of nuclear, we have to mention the other examples and say
Yes.
how they increasing or decreasing, and have for example, how to say, what's the better word? Like combine, or not combine. Oh, I forgot the word to say.
Compare.
Compare.
Yes.
Compare.
Yes.
And
How they
then we
compare.
should define, yes, this is why the only realistic is nuclear.
Yes.
Yeah, got it.
Very good. All right. Does everyone else see how that works? The only practical or realistic. Okay, that it's that only practical and realistic that are the key to answering this question. It's the key. Those words are the key to forming your opinion and understanding how you're going to support your opinion. All right. So, last question. Should we give detailed historical accounts of nuclear disasters?
False.
Will that help this essay?
No.
No. Okay, so false. Great. Excellent. Good job. This is the challenge. Okay, this is your challenge. This is the job. Your task from now until the time you take the exam is to expose yourself. Get as much exposure and practice at looking at these exam questions and saying, okay, what's the actual question here? What am I going to answer on this? How am I going to set this up? All right. And then, so now that we know, we've got this laser focus, we know what we're going to say. We're going to be talking about various alternatives to fossil fuels because we're not discussing whether or not fossil fuels are impractical. We're talking about alternatives. And is nuclear the only one that is practical? Or is it not? Is there something else that is more practical? And here is the moment. Okay. I really I have become more and more excited about using a chart like this in order to pin down those ideas. All right. So let's try it. Okay. So, which ones of these are reasons? So I've got 4 sentences here. Can you figure out which column they belong in? Reasons to agree that the only realistic alternative is nuclear energy, and reasons that I disagree that nuclear is the only realistic alternative. So let's look at this first sentence. There are other alternatives to fossil fuels, such as wind and solar power, which pose fewer risks. What do you think? Is that for or against? Or can you think of your own reason nuclear would be best?
A should be disagree. Put on the disagree.
Yes.
And B, agree. C, also agree. D, also agree.
There we go. Good. That's fun. Right. Can you think of other reasons for disagreeing or agreeing?
Nuclear power produce a large amount of energy with very little
With very little. I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
nuclear power
Mm-hmm.
produce a large amount of energy with very little fuel. I agree with that.
Okay, that's great. Okay. Can you think of anything else? What else would you want to include?
With agree?
with either way, agree or disagree. Positive or negative. So that's great. Oh, I'm sorry, bouncy mouse.
But
Produces a lot of,
I'm think
yeah.
I'm think I'm thinking about also nuclear accident. Nuclear accident can cause a massive damage. Is it disagree?
Okay. Accidents can cause massive, I should say nuclear
Damage.
accidents. Nuclear. Yes, accidents can cause massive damage. Excellent. Very good. Anybody else got an idea that you want to put in? Yeah.
Also with agree, I have one idea.
Uh-huh.
It can provide stable and continuous supply of energy.
Stable.
Because the wind, when if you
I really can't type, can I? And continue us energy. Excellent. So, right. So what were you going to say about wind and solar?
So the solar and wind have some limitation. For example, is there no wind or no
Actually,
not during the day of sun not shining, the solar would not working. But for nuclear weapon, working always.
yeah, very good. So there we go. Wind and solar have. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and pop these up here. And so these are arguments for nuclear. Come on. There we go. Yeah. This down here. So, yes, I really can't type, can I? There we go. Sorry about that. Remember that. You can always make mistakes in this class because I'll make more typing than you will doing anything else. So there we go. We've got things against nuclear, so for and against basically. And then we've got discussions about the other ones. So what are some of the limitations? What more could we say about wind and solar?
For example, if using the solar panel energy during the winter, it's very limited because sun is not shining. If sun is not shining, we will face with the lack of energy with the solar panel. And for wind, this is not working in everywhere. For example, some areas doesn't have wind.
Mhm.
Also about the pollution.
Mhm.
For the pollution
Mhm.
and space. If we need to set up a solar panel for a whole country, we need
Yes.
load space to in place the solar
Yeah.
panels. And
Right.
for nuclear energy, we doesn't need that much space.
Right. Uh, uh, right. It's true.
I have an idea.
Yes, please.
Yeah, solar energy clean and also reduce electricity bill. Easy to install
Okay.
or building. Yeah.
Oh, personal solar energy reduces energy bills. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Okay. So there we go. We've got lots of wonderful things to say about these. Okay. It's pretty much, um, it looks like we're pretty much for nuclear. We've got lots of reasons not to. So, how are we going to organize this? What are our paragraphs going to be? What do you think? What should our paragraphs be? We need, remember, we need a, in that descriptor, it said there was a clear topic for each paragraph. So what are our two main topics going to be?
Maybe energy alternative.
What's good about, and we can see this, we could actually
The
change this. Do you think? What do you
The
think?
one topic supporting the alternative, the only realistic alternative. The other topic comparing the other alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
So we've
something?
got excellent. Yeah, that's your two paragraphs. And we've got examples that we can use, right? We can give examples for most of these, like for our, for our first one, it's, look at our main ideas. We've got, it's economical. That's great. It takes up less space. It's compact, right? Very little fuel, right? So low inputs, and it's stable and continuous. Excellent. You've got four strong arguments to support nuclear. All right. Um, so the other alternatives, are good because they don't cause accidents, right? Nobody died from a light spill in a solar farm, right? And you can have personal solar energy, which is a big plus. However, okay, so there are some good things. So no damage from solar spills, and personal solar energy produces, but there are the limitations of wind and sunlight and the amount of space that it takes up. Okay, so those are our limitations. Are don't work in winter, right? Wind doesn't blow everywhere and takes up space. Okay, so there we go. There's our, and so our introduction will restate the question. Some people think that nuclear energy is the best solution to our need to replace fossil fuels. And I strongly agree with this. It's much more practical than the other alternatives. State that in your introduction, and you are away. All you've got to do is write your 2 paragraphs. Okay. So I hope you can see how this process sets you up for doing what you need to do on this exam. So, so that is exactly the process that you need to go through. What I would recommend is to take some of the examples that I've got for the writing, and I think hopefully I've got one here. Yeah, the IELTS writing. This set of IELTS writing practice tests. Oh, come on, there it goes. Yeah, this set of IELTS practice tests. I showed you last week with the task 1, equally good with the task 2. All right, let me give you the link in the chat as well so that you've got that. So what I challenge you to do is to make a chart like we just did. And oops, wait a minute. There we go. Task 2. Sorry, scrolled too far. Yeah, there we go. So underneath the task 1 tests, you'll find the task 2 opinion essays. So, and actually, here's the questions. You can even read the questions before you pop into there. All right. So one is about space exploration. It's a good question there, actually. Let me see if I can just pop that into the chat. So think about it. Oops, no, I'm gonna not do that. It gave me the link, not the text. So, but if we go into that, I'll show you what you find. So this is why. So here's the question. Space exploration is much too expensive and the money should be spent on more important things. What do you think? Do you agree or disagree with that? All right. And where's the value judgment word? Can you find the value judgment word on this one? Space exploration is much too expensive, and the
Much too
money
expensive.
should. Okay, much too expensive, but where's the actual value? money should be spent on more important things?
Money should be. Should.
Where should the money be spent? Should it be spent on space exploration, or should it be spent on more important things? And if so, what are those more important things? Okay. So are the benefits of spending on space exploration worth it? Or do we need to spend that money elsewhere? What do you think? And here's a chance to make a chart. All right. Put your ideas in. What do you think? What are the good things that space exploration has given us? What are the problems here on this planet that we need to fix?
For
That are
example,
more
pollution.
Yeah,
Pollution. One of the
exactly.
one of the very important things we have to think about. We have lots of challenges with this pollution.
Right. So, but some of the technology that takes us into space might solve some of our terrestrial problems.
Yeah, for
So,
example, for
yes.
now there is no guarantee we can move there, and right now we destroying our planet with this pollution currently we have. So we have to focus what problems currently we have in this planet, and then that's an alternative. This is the priority, for example, I can
I
say.
like that. Really good. So make a chart, figure out what your 2 paragraphs are going to be. All right.
Yeah.
That practice, if you will practice what we've done today, analyzing the question and making a chart that allows you to organize your 2 paragraphs, if you practice this and get fast at it, you're going to go into the exam and you're going to be really comfortable writing this because you know exactly how to organize it. And then all your beautiful sentences can support what you can focus on that grammar and vocabulary because you know what you're writing. All right. Now, there is a model answer on all of these. Some are better than others, but take a look at their model answer. We're going to go deeper into this question, this part of the exam next week. And I've also got some exercises that we can do to build up. All right. When you get this PDF, I'd like for you to do these coherence exercises. All right. These are really good exercises for learning how to put these signposting language into an essay. All right. And the answers are on the next page. Okay. So read the first page. Let's see how well you do, and then find the answers on the second page. But I'll leave you to do that at home. All right. So take what we've done above or some of the other answers here, and that's where we start with writing the essay. Okay. Here's another example. Try this one. Examine this question. All right. Analyze it, and then make a chart to brainstorm and organize it. All right. Now, there's one more thing that we can do, which is unwriting. So here we have taken an essay. So the question is, how did they plan this? what are the topics of the two paragraphs, and what is the opinion that they are stating? Can you find those answers? All right. So, here's my analysis of it, and here's the outline that they used to write it. Okay, so once again, your challenge is read this. Lots of homework this time. Read this and see if you can find how they organized it. What was in their chart when they wrote this? Okay, how did they organize this? So, lots of practice, right? We're focusing again. I just really want you to remember to concentrate on analyzing that question and planning and preparing those paragraphs so you know exactly what you're going to write before you put your pen on paper. All right. Any questions about any of this? What about the grammar that we did earlier? Either way. Oops. Well, we are past time, so I am going to end this here. Thank you so much for joining me. There are additional resources here, and let's see. I think everyone who's here has seen the WhatsApp group as well. So I will be putting things on the WhatsApp group, little reminders, and I hope that I see you next week. Don't forget, there's always my email address as well if you've got questions or if you want to set up sessions for, I'm very happy to work with you if you want to work on an essay as well. So thank you so much. It's been awesome having you here. I'm going to stop the recording.